Thank you so much for joining us on this 23rd day of September 2025. It is the International Day of Sign Languages, and this week, yesterday we were too excited to notice, but it is the International Deaf Awareness Week.
Yes, indeed. 99 days to go this year, 2025. Exactly 93 days to Christmas. If you're keeping the count, and we insisted, this will continue each and every day that we're here on the show. This is the Morning Cafe. Karibu sana. My name is Freddie Ndimuli.
My name is Anne Odida. Let's take a look at the local dailies. We start off with the Star. Is Raila planning to run against Ruto? It's a question.
And this is one thing that strings along very many papers today. Raila, no deal on Ruto re-election. That's the front page of the Daily Nation. But the big one is on SHA. Teachers, police face SHA medical crisis.
All right. Taifa leo, Ruto atega rafiki zake mlimani.
People Daily, more politics. Gachagua, Wamalwa, rift could break opposition.
The Standard revealed.
And on the Business Daily, State Farm CEO exits surge on Ruto projects pressure. That's a Business Daily.
All right.
On State of the Nation today, two legislators, Titus Lote and James Gakuya, MPs Kacheliba and Embakasi North, respectively, alongside Wakili Harrison Kenyanjui. They'll be in studio starting at 6:30 this morning.
Being a Tuesday, we'll be talking matters business, Kenya's economy and the rise of digital credit with Stephen Ruhohi, Senior Growth and Marketing Manager, Tala, Kenya, later on starting 8 a.m. Tukivuka border, we start off in Uganda. Daily Monitor, NSSF's big payday. Generous Provident Fund gives 13.5% interest to members, but where did the money come from? And is it as generous as it seems compared to other investments classes? This story has been covered on page 4 and 5, and investment includes equities, which amounts to 13.3%, which is the value of shares issued by the fund. Fixed income amounts to 80.4%, the percentage of the fund's fixed income. Real estate has 6.3% percentage, the fund portfolio invested in real estate. And National Social Security Fund registered 3.4 million members. And the number of active members saving with NSSF in Uganda is 850,000. NSSF big payday, they ask, is it generous? Other stories on the front page of the Daily Monitor. Businessman Ham sued over works on Kivubo Channel. Mysterious disease threatens Ron Paris Matoke harvest. On the top strip, what Ugandans expect from the next president. And as the Electoral Commission begins the nomination of presidential aspirants today, voters across Uganda have spoken out on the qualities they want in the next leader of a country ruled by one man since 1986.
That's the only politics that's there on the front page of the Daily Monitor in Uganda, only months to election day. Interesting.
And that's the Daily Monitor.
New Vision definitely goes big on politics today. Battle for 2026 starts. That's a big headline there, flashing some of the presidential candidates. 5 contenders so far cleared for nomination. You can see NRM's Yoweri Museveni and NUP's Chagulani pale anaitwa Bobi Wine. At least those two have been cleared. The one face that's missing, of course, Kizza Besigye. His party pulled out of the elections. UPC's Akena disqualified. At least one candidate has been disqualified there. Other key highlights on the front page, and the president has actually shared his nomination supplement in this paper. 8 pages big. Those reading the New Vision can read that as well. To other news, a CID unveils Center to Monitor Electoral Offenders. Youth celebrations, Museveni calls for action, and UNEB issues PLE USC timetables. A lot of election-related matters. Even that NSSF story is just given prominence. Paleju, Savers react to NSSF's 13.5% interest, but definitely elections and campaigns big in Uganda starting today.
All right. Twende Bongo, we start off with the Citizen. Why that price doesn't always reflect quality. Many Tanzanians have lived with the belief that goods sold at posh shopping malls are original, while those found at ordinary markets are invariably of a lower quality. But in reality, the only difference may be costs layered onto the supply chain through import taxes, rent, branding, and of course, marketing as well. This is also an issue here in Kenya. This story has been covered on the Business Daily on page 8 of this newspaper. How we will transform Ruvuma into commercial hub, Samia says, and she's quoted here. She's saying, much of what has been said here today is already in motion in Ruvuma. We've exceeded expectations in delivering services that directly touch the lives of our people. That is CCM Union presidential candidate, who is also Tanzania's current president, Samia Suluhu. East Africa Revenue Authority is set to tackle regional challenges, and Africa's rhinos not out of the woods yet. On the top strip, Tundu Lissu now wants top leaders to testify in treason case. That's the Citizen this morning.
Yes, a lot of the politics on the front page of Mwananchi. Habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili, Lissu, Jamhuri, ngoma nzito. Ile kesi ya Tundu Lissu bado inaendelea. Watoana jasho kesi ya uhaini, akwama kujinasua, mahakama ikitupa mapingamizi yake. Aorodhesha majina ya vigogo kuwa sehemu ya washahidi wake. He's still fighting those treason charges in court, and he is demanding that top leaders do testify in that case. Elsewhere, polisi walivyozima maandamano TLS, Mwabukusi aonya maandamano ya mawakili wa chama cha wanasheria Tanganyika TLS yaliyopangwa kufanyika nchi nzima jana. And this comes from a situation where I think one of the lawyers was brutally, or rather brutalized, by police officers. Masuala ya kampeni, mvutano wa ACT na INEC bado watikisa ilani hadharani. ACT ni wale ambao mwaniaji wao wa rais bado yake ijapita, anaitwa nani ule jamaa? Nasahau. Lakini baadhi ya wagombea ubunge wa chama cha ACT Wazalendo wakiwa wameshikilia ilani ya uchaguzi wa mwaka huu baada ya kuzinduliwa na kiongozi wa chama Dorothy Semo jijini Dar es Salaam jana. Bado siasa pale. Samia Suluhu Hassan pale chini akiendelea kukampeni kule Ruvuma. Samia nadi viwanda, Mwinyi aja na ajira. Mwinyi ni kule Zanzibar. Mapya sakata ya mwalimu aliyempiga mwanafunzi. Habari nyingine kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti hili. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa 17. Na pale juu, Ali Kimara atimiza ndoto yake kielimu akiwa bado kitandani. Ni mwanafunzi ambaye ana
special needs.
Yes, ana mahitaji specially.
All right.
Gazeti la Mwananchi.
Those are the stories making headlines regionally and of course locally as well, and we'll be back to take a look at the local dailies. Tuangalie hali ya anga inakaa vipi, and we start off in Malindi. 25 degrees in Malindi this morning, feels like 27. It's a mostly cloudy day. Highs of 29 degrees, and precipitation in Malindi today 0.4 millimeters, not much.
Yes, definitely the trend of warming weather continues across the country. In Meru this morning, the Mount Kenya region, it's mostly cloudy, 14 degrees Celsius. It will get as high as 24 degrees, which is a bit fair compared to other regions. 24 degrees is actually much fairer. But later in the week, it will get as high as 26 degrees. And as far as precipitation is concerned, nothing expected in Meru today. Just a warm day. All
right. Weather in Mandera this morning, it's 26 degrees, feels like 27. It's a partly cloudy day. Kama to Malindi, highs of 36 degrees. Precipitation here today is 0.0 millimeters, nothing.
And if at all you are expecting 36 degrees to be high, hey, later in the week it will get as high as 38 degrees, which is crazy weather. If you're in Mandera, kunywa maji sasa.
All right, Naivasha.
Areas around the Rift Valley, 12 degrees in Naivasha, which is, I think, the coldest we've seen. And Naivasha today promises to be one of the coldest areas we've seen. Highs of 22 degrees. 22 is actually very cold. Precipitation there, 1.0 millimeters, mostly cloudy as well. It will sustain this way for the rest of the week. So I think those who are looking for cooler temperatures, Naivasha is a place to be.
All right. Western, 13 degrees in Kakamega this morning, clear skies with periodic clouds, highs of 28 degrees in Kakamega. Precipitation today, nothing.
It may not rain today, but definitely by the end of week, it will be raining in Kakamega.
Finally.
In Nairobi, it's also getting warmer. 15 degrees is actually the warmest we've seen in morning. It's been, we've been averaging 13 and 14 degrees every morning. Today it goes to 15. It promises to be a cloudy day today. Highs of 24 degrees. This is comfortable weather. But this is only for today. Ikifika kesho, 26. Very hot, 0.2 millimeters. At least comfortable weather in the city.
Very minimal. All right, 8 minutes past 6 a.m. Tuangalie Tuesday traffic.
Right, the major tributaries into the CBD are not looking bad this morning. The main problems usually Thika Road, and yes, you can already identify there will be a problem. Look at this. 8 minutes past 6, you said?
Yes.
Yes. This is Thika Road, that section around KCA University, before you even get to Survey and Utalii College. And look at it. There's a long stretch of red and yellow there. So this means that those coming from Thika Road, there's a problem there even before you get to the Pangani interchange. This is good news for people coming from Kiambu Road, because ukifika Pangani, wale watu wa Thika Road, they've been held back. Hata wajafika Mathare Mental Hospital. Yeah. So yes, a bit of a problem there, hoping it will clear before 6:30, because ikiendelea hivyo kutakuwa na shida. Jogoo Road, it's building up nicely around Makadara area as you head closer towards City Stadium roundabout. Shauri Moyo also, I can see now it's becoming regular, that as you get closer to the City Stadium roundabout, there's a stretch of yellow there, but nothing to worry about. That means traffic is moving. Machakos, pale Landis Road, imekuwa ni nywea siku hizi, lakini hata Haile Selassie Avenue, at this time of day, it's building up nicely. Those coming from the airport, you will have a very easy time getting into town if at all you're using the expressway or even Mombasa Road itself, ile ya huko chini ground floor, because it's green all the way into the CBD. This other side of town, Southern Bypass, Langata Road, Mbagathi Way, Ngong Road, and even Wayaki Way, nothing much to report. It is green all the way into the city center. And that's the traffic situation this morning. Biggest problem? Thika Road.
All right, 9 minutes past 6 a.m. That's the traffic situation. Let's have the quote of the day. Collaboration is essential for achieving lasting success. While individual efforts might produce quick results, working with others fosters sustained growth and allows for greater, more meaningful impact. Is Raila planning to run against Ruto? Is the main headline on the front page of the Star this morning. Veteran politician is busy rebuilding 20-year-old party and recruiting new members as preparations for 2027 polls begin to take shape in earnest. Jana Raila Odinga aliongea pale, and it seems like acha tusikie. Does Raila plan to run against Ruto in 2027? ODM leader Raila Odinga could be planning to run again for the presidency, and the veteran politician is busy rebuilding his 20-year-old party and recruiting new members as preparations for the 2027 election begins to take shape. Although Raila is currently working with the President William Ruto in the broad-based government, has consistently stated that this arrangement is only until 2027. Now, ODM's 20th anniversary celebration slated for next month in Mombasa promised to be far more than just a birthday party. Behind the fanfare lies a calculated political strategy to revitalize Raila's political machine ahead of the approaching general election. The three-day event, billed as both a commemoration of resilience and a display of political strength, comes at a critical moment for the Raila-led party. And at the heart of the strategy is building a formidable political machine capable of negotiating for an equal share of power with President Ruto before and after the 2027 polls. Yesterday he said that ODM party might, he hinted that might front somebody for the 2027 presidential seat. President Ruto and Raila have been giving strong hints that their parties could be on the path to forming a coalition vehicle ahead of the election. And according to Abdul Samad Nasir, Mombasa governor, he said Ruto is a founder member, so he is invited for the celebrations, I guess. And Abdul Samad says, we expect them to join us to celebrate our achievements, and added regarding Kalonzo, that he is still the leader of Wiper, we see no reason why he should not be invited. The more, the merrier. That is the headline here on the front page of the Star. Is Raila planning to run against Ruto? This story is on page 4 and 5. Another story is making headlines. Kenyans maimed in Gen Z protest weigh in on compensation. Old rivalries, new faces as Bomet Governor race take shape ahead of 2027. Ali Robi turned massaging passion into thriving career. This is a special feature in this newspaper. Tuangalia the inside pages kidogo. Neurosurgery Hub gives patients second chance. There's a story in Kisumu. Neuroscience Initiative has conducted 54 brain and spine surgeries. Injured in Matatu crash, you can sue and win cash. High Court awards passengers 650,000 Kenyan shillings damages after accident in Kisumu. Uhuru to Ruto, Jubilee top post, Matiang'i joins party and move sparks protest from rival faction, which claims it has been sidelined. That's the Star this morning. Fresh, independent, different. Being a Tuesday, the Star is not for sale.
All right, from the Star, we go to the Daily Nation, and the image there of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga is still the same. Raila back on the front pages. Raila says, no deal on Ruto re-election. It is the biggest discussion politically, at least. And they talk about a dilemma. As ODM marks the 20th anniversary, the party that has been the face of opposition finds itself at a crossroads owing to a partnership agreement with the ruling party and the appointment of 5 members to President Ruto's cabinet. The deal has torn the party into 2 factions, for and against Ruto's re-election, prompting the ODM leader Raila Odinga to declare that his outfit has not resolved to back the incumbent and asking members to cease premature campaigns. Now, this is probably a game changer, even for the opposition right now, as they are grouping and regrouping, planning on their 2027 approach to the elections. What does this statement by Raila Odinga mean? This is going to form biggest discussion this morning with my panelists. Do stand by for that. And we'll be taking a look at what this means for everyone, including President William Ruto. And yes, as you mentioned, Anne, even as ODM prepares to mark its 20th anniversary, which will be a major party, and they're inviting everyone, you get the feeling that like it's the biggest party right now. UDA, which is the biggest parliamentary party as we speak, has gone quiet. Curiously has gone quiet after swallowing ANC. We don't hear much about the party programs, but ODM is actually big. But the biggest story on the front page of this paper has to do with matters health. Teachers, police face SHA medical crisis. Healthcare in turmoil, they say. Hospitals affiliated with the Rural Urban Private Hospitals Association, known as RUFA, have warned they will not treat teachers and police officers when they transition from their current insurer to the Social Health Authority SHA in December, citing rising deaths. The private hospitals are already demanding cash up front from other patients using the SHA cover of a similar failure by government to settle their claims. And the 33 billion shillings, that's the amount private hospitals are owed by the state for treating Kenyans under the defunct NHIF scheme. This story is on page 2. Yes? Pay cash or stay away. Hospitals cut credit to SHA and will not treat teachers and police officers. Still on matters health, on page 3, they've actually listed services unavailable in Kenya. Yeah? So, list of services that are unavailable in Kenya, that is, if you go na useme uko na SHA, hii hawatakusaidia. So, the Social Health Authority has released a list of 36 healthcare services that are unavailable in the country and which Kenyans can now seek overseas. So, vitu kama ankle joint arthroplasty, hiyo kama uko nayo, watakwambia sawa, hiyo itabidi uende probably India na kwingineko. That entire list is actually there on the page 3 of this paper. So grab yourself a copy of the Daily Nation and read more. Raila telling off party MPs campaigning for Ruto's re-election. Wameambiwa tuliza boli kwanza. Hatujasema tuna support Ruto. Ngoja kwanza. Chama ndo itaamua. Other highlights on the front page. Ruto decries Kenyan police fighting gangs in Haiti with little aid. President William Ruto speaking at the United Nations General Assembly. And he criticized the international community, citing inadequate resources for the mission in Haiti, including second-hand armored vehicles that frequently broke down. Unajua walikuwa wameambiwa, they had been promised quite a lot of money. And then when Trump came in, akazima hiyo tap. On the back page of the Daily Nation, still stories from the just concluded 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo, Japan. And the faces of Kenyan medalists from the 2025 race are there. Emmanuel Wanyonyi, Beatrice Chebet, Perez Chipchirchir, Faith Kipyegon, Edmund Serem, Dorcas Ewoi, Reynold Cheriot, Lilian Odira, Faith Cherotich, back page. Now, according to this writer, James Mwamba, writing from Tokyo, says, you deserve it and more. From the WA reward scheme, Kenyans medalists will pocket a combined 78 million shillings and 27 million shillings from the government cash reward. Yes. And once again, the breakdown of medals on page 31 of this paper. Who got what, when, where, gold, silver, and bronze. And they've broken it down from 1983. Yeah? How Kenya won medals since 1983. So this one is not actually the biggest. We've won a total of 72 gold medals, 60 silver and 50 in the entire how many years? More than close to 40 years of the history of the World Athletics Championships. Kenya won by 20 appearances in the World Athletics Championships. That's a Daily Nation today.
All right. Taifa leo, Ruto atega rafiki zake mlimani. Wadadisi wasema rais alitaka kuwapima majemadari wake wa ukanda huo kwa uchaguzi mdogo ujao mbele. Karata ni swali. Wachanganuzi wanaeleza kuwa rais alimteua waziri Ruku akijua vyema atakumbana na ushindani mkali zaidi katika uchaguzi mdogo wa Mbeere Kaskazini, ambayo ni sehemu ya ngome ya hasimu wake wa kisiasa Rigathi Gachagua. Kwa hatua hiyo, aliwatwika jukumu zito naibu wake Profesa Kithure Kindiki, Mbarire, Ruku, Wahome, Kiunjuri na wengine kumenyana na Gachagua.
They better deliver.
They better deliver. DCP stepped down. Now they're fronting DP.
DP as a candidate there.
All right. Ruto atega rafiki zake mlimani is the headline on the front page of the gazeti la Taifa Leo this morning. Vidokezo zaidi, Uingereza na Canada watambua Palestina pamoja na Australia wasema taifa hilo ni nchi huru. Maswali, kijana akifia ndani ya seli za polisi kule Mombasa. Simon Warui aliyenaswa Nairobi alipatikana amekufa ndani ya kituo cha Central Mombasa. Another case of Kenyan dying in police custody. Masala ya spoti pale Liverpool wanapepea kupepea EPL. Vijana wa slot wapanua mwonyo wa alama 5 baada ya kushinda mechi zao zote. On the top strip, hospitali zaanza kukataa SHA, walimu polisi kulipa pesa taslimu katika hospitali za kibinafsi wakihamia SHA, na vilevile Raila adokeza karata mpya dhidi ya Ruto, asema huenda ODM ikawa na mwaniaji wa urais mwaka 2027 pamoja na kumruka Ruto. Habari kamili katika ukurasa wa pili wa gazeti hili la Taifa Leo. Tukisonga mbele.
More political news on the People Daily, and today they're focusing on the so-called united opposition. Not so united here. Gachagua and Wamalwa rift could break the opposition, and they talk about differences between these two leaders, the leader of DAP-K and the leader of DCP, in the method that will be used to select a flag bearer for the united opposition. One of them, Rigathi Gachagua, probably favors a leader whose backyard has the biggest number of votes. Anasema kama wewe unatoka mahali kuna votes nyingi, then you should be the ordinary, the guy to fly the flag. But DAP-K leader Eugene Wamalwa feels that probably they need specialists and experts to determine the most suitable candidate. What do you think? Picking a flag bearer is a big discussion there, and it could cause a rift that could break the opposition, and that's the analysis according to the People Daily. The only other mention of a different story here is a letter that reignites debate about judiciary's integrity, matters integrity in the judiciary continuing to be a big debate. That story is on page 4. This is a People Daily today. Their tag is People and Politics, Deep State.
The Standard revealed, and this is Purkis, cry for justice today. This newspaper reveals the face of the British soldier whose extradition from the United Kingdom has been ordered by Kenya's High Court. He is accused of robbing a 5-month-old baby of a mother, a family of their daughter, and an Anyuki community of a young woman who lost her life at just 21 years. Agnes Wanjiru's spirit still cries for justice, and a major obstacle is the lengthy UK extradition process that is tied up in courts and the Secretary of State. But the first step lies with Kenya's Director of Public Prosecutions. The story is on page 4. According to a British-trained lawyer, Peter Wenner, he says Kenyan prosecutors must present strong evidence that meets UK legal standards for extradition. Even if the judge is convinced, the Secretary of State may refuse to order an extradition in the case where the offense the accused is charged with could lead to a death penalty. And Wanjiru is here on the Agnes Wanjiru is here on the front page. alongside that story that was covered last week as the unmasked RJ Purkis. Last week they didn't really show his face, but today they reveal his face. This story is on page 4. Tuangalie ndani vizuri. Robert Purkis, from war medic to prime suspect in the murder of Wanjiru, trained to save lives, the British medic Purkis now stand accused of killing Agnes Wanjiru. If extradited, he will be first British soldier tried abroad for civilians' murder. And a Sunday Times investigation reported that rumors of Wanjiru's murder circulated widely among soldiers, with some treating it as a running joke. One officer is said to have mocked Purkis by warning him not to strangle anyone before a night out. This story is on page 4. SHA crisis leaves patients stranded nationwide. Most private hospitals suspended services under the Social Health Authority, SHA. Over 75 billion shillings in unpaid reimbursements, leaving patients stranded, and many seeking care were turned away after facilities refused to accept SHA cover. So the only story is covered on the front page of this newspaper, lakini tukiangalia kule ndani. Rufa chairman Dr. Brian Lishenge is on page 2, and cash-strapped hospitals turn away the poor amid SHA crisis. Heartbreaking scenes were witnessed yesterday as sick patients were turned away, unable to pay steep cash deposits demanded. Man's death in police cell clocked in mystery. That story of Simon Waruiz. His widow said he left their home in Kayole but was found dead days later in police cell in Mombasa. Police claimed he died after falling while attempting to climb a wall, suffering neck injuries. Another story on page 3. Ruto walks freely in tidy New York as chaos reigns in streets of Nairobi. New York's functioning order revealed the beauty of working systems, but leaders have failed to replicate similar efficiency, accountability, and discipline back home. President William Ruto is currently attending an UNGA conference in New York. Raila ODM has not decided on its flag bearer for the 2027 election. Another story covered on page 7 of this newspaper. World must not abandon Haitian people, Ruto says, as mission ends. And the president said there must be necessary logistical support to make the operation successful. He said the mission had secured the airport and presidential palace. On the back page, Matter Sports, shock for Gor Mahia as new Sport Pesa League kicks off. Record champions Kogalo fried by Bidco United as Leopards also dropped points. Matano off to a great start at KCB as Shabana Flair continues at Gusii Stadium. That's the Standard this morning.
Yes, and they have a very nice spread on the pages 46 and 47, still talking about the World Athletics Championships that concluded on Sunday in Japan under the title, "The Family That Prays Together, Sticks Together, and Despite Falling, Wins Together." Very beautiful photos of some of the winners who were triumphant in Tokyo, Japan. 7 gold medals, 2 silver, 2 bronze, 11 medals in total na pesa. Kitita cha pesa. Watapata.
100 million.
Right. Let's take a look at Matters Business. The Business Daily today talks about State Farm CEO exits surge on Ruto projects pressure. At least 5 executives were pushed out in 3 months. Parastatals overseeing multi-billion shilling contracts. There's a new wave of resignations and sackings of CEOs that has triggered anxiety in state corporations amid vicious behind-the-scenes battles to seize control of public enterprises overseeing multi-billion shilling road, energy, and ICT infrastructure. Some of them are John Mativo, who was sacked as Ketraco Managing Director effective September this year, Philemon Kandie, who resigned as Kera Director General effective July 11th, and Kongo Ndongo, who resigned as Kenha Director General effective July as well. You can read more on that on page 2 of the Business Daily. Other stories given prominence on the front page of the Business Daily: relief for companies as loan rates tied to treasury bills fall. Companies including EABL, Crown Paints are looking to lower financial costs on loans whose charges are pegged to government benchmark rates, following the recent fall in domestic treasury bill rates and the decision by the U.S. Federal Reserve to resume its base rates cuts from the month. All right, on the ticker, water companies lose 16 billion shillings to unbilled customers. Watu hawalipi bili ya maji. Na wengine hata hawapati hizo bill. And 4.6 billion shilling foreign outflows jolt stock market rally. Ile pesa inatoka Kenya, dollars that we're using to import. All right, that's business. Once again, a reminder of the panel that we'll be having today. Titus Lote, MP Kachiliba, James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, and Harrison Kenyanjui, Advocate of the High Court. They'll be in studio in a few minutes' time so that we discuss the big headlines today. And the big headlines, so far we've seen that pronouncement by Raila Odinga that they've still not made a decision on who to support in 2027. The SHA crisis, also a big discussion, as well as that highlight on the front page of the People Daily, the rift in the opposition.
All right, Biashara Tuesday will be coming up next. Kenya's economy and the rise of digital credit with Stephen Ruhohi, Senior Growth and Marketing Manager, Tala Kenya. Lakini tuangalie caricature.
Wachoraji wanasema nini? What's the biggest story here? And on the front, we start off with this one is the Daily Nation. It has 3 frames, a caricature of the former Prime Minister Raila Odinga. In one is throwing the die. And looking at him is none other than the Secretary General of ODM Party, Edwin Sifuna. Kwa hiyo nyingine is flipping a coin. Na kwa hiyo ya tatu, anafanya ile, inaitwaje ile wheel ya bahati. So leaving everyone confused. So what exactly is Raila Odinga saying about 2027? Ndio ilikuwa ametuambia they are not in government. Leaving everyone confused. That's a cartoon on the Daily Nation. Definitely confusion.
All right. This is the Star. Chakwera here, anaambia somebody here is sleeping. President William Ruto, don't be me, stay woke. Chakwera anashindwa pale Malawi, and of course he's been accused of corruption and neglecting citizens' needs. So he's caricatured here telling President William Ruto, don't be me, stay woke.
Stay woke.
That
It's a
is
warning.
Malawian President, what is his first name? Somebody chat.
Lazarus.
Yeah, Chakwera.
The cartoon on the Standard, a bit more colorful here. 3 people. One is a party, honchos. Kuna maswala ya nomination. I think this is in preparation for the November 2027 by-election mini poll. So party honchos are handing tickets for free, lakini wanafanya watu wapitie nomination. It just talks about the level of corruption as parties process and conduct their primaries ahead of the by-elections in November. Watu wengi sana wamecomplain. Wengine wanasema wametumia pesa lakini hizo tickets ni kama tu zimepita. Meanwhile kuna wale wanaenda nomination lakini tickets zilishapeanwa. Poleni. Chama ina wenyewe.
The Standard. Finally, People Daily. The end World Athletics Championship Tokyo. Kinidati politics back. And they're saying back to what we do best. Parliamentarians are getting back this week or today?
Yes, today. Today, both the Senate and the National Assembly return after a long recess, and we'll be having 2 MPs. They'll be telling us more about their plan going forward. But I like this cartoon, that after tumetoka celebrate World Athletics Championships, let's go back to what we do best. That is the dirty politics of Kenya.
All right, do stay with us, interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube. On X at TV47 Digital. My handle on X is at @Ann_Dida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle is at Fred Indemuli. See you after the break.
world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be clear.
Clear like the water?
Yes. Should be able to see the other side of the urine. If your urine is colored or has changed color, you cannot see the other side, then you have not taken enough water.
Don't forget regular health checkups. Early detection saves lives.
I want the message be, we can prevent cervical cancer. We prevent cervical cancer in several ways. You have young girls and even somebody who's above that age, you can pay at least every 3 years. Somebody should have a pap smear done.
If you are 40, 45, 50, going upward, once a year, please go see a doctor. Yeah, it's just for normal routine maintenance.
Hey there, friends. Welcome to Kids on the Block, where fun and imagination come alive. We dive into magical world filled with exciting adventures and awesome friends.
What position were you in?
I was number 2.
What position were you?
Number 1.
He decided to cross the bridge by his house and look for food on the other side.
We're going to do half cup of chocolate chips, and the other one, we're going to do half cup of the blueberries.
So, grab your imagination hats and get ready to explore with us. Join us every Saturday at 9 a.m. for new friends, amazing stories, and tons of laughter.
Jiunge nasi tunapoangazia safari za viongozi bora. Kutoka kwa ushindi mkubwa hadi masomo magumu.
Wakati wetu kwamba wasichana si wa kusoma, ni wa kuolewa, ng'ombe ipatikane, wazazi wakuwe watajiri.
Tunashughulikia yote.
I wish I were a better investor.
My parents taught me how to look for things for myself.
Tazama Mfahamu Kiongozi, ambapo kila kipindi kimejaa maarifa, mikakati na hadithi za kukuza azma yako.
For me to succeed, I have to fight.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30.
Our world is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's minds. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the story.
From midnight Sunday, private facilities under RUFA were directed to offer services on a cash basis, following a standoff that now exists between private facilities and the Social Health Authority over a 10 billion shillings debt. This directive coming as both as a surprise and shock to many patients in need of services at these facilities on Monday.
Ndatoa pitheti kama 50k sai. Naona na wamesema lazima ulipe SHA. Unajua hata dispensary ukienda wanakulazimisha lazima ukuwe na SHA. Sasa if at all is not going to work, what am I going to do?
According to RUFA, despite the president's directive of payment of verified claims worth 10 million shillings and below, SHA has continuously ignored them.
This go-slow has been going on for the last 3 to 4 months, but the situation is today, with the exception of emergency services and some critical services, we will not be extending credit to SHA. And the reason is, as we have said, we have already proven that SHA is a bad borrower and a bad debtor.
RUFA also states that as of 30th September 2024, 465 facilities had historical claims valued over 10 million shillings, and of this, just 82 facilities account for 15 billion.
Because now you've not been paid, so you wonder, should you close the hospital? Should you continue seeing, because every time you continue seeing the clients, then it means that you are utilizing medicines, you're utilizing supplies.
We have drugs that we need to buy, the normal functioning of a hospital. There has to be money. So what we actually depend right now is just cash money out of pocket from the clients.
Another key concern to these private facilities is the breach of contract on claims rejection by the Health CS Aiden Duale without following the due process under the SHA provider contract.
He knows that SHA is collapsing. SHA is broke. So how do you go out of there? You start saying everything is fraud. Enough is enough. We are not going to be extending credit to ungrateful people who have proven themselves to be unable.
As this standoff between SHA and private facilities simmer, those affected are calling on the government's intervention.
Na hii SHA kama iwezekani ivunjwe, turudishwe ile ya zamani.
Sheila Chelangat for TV 47.
And that's how we kick off State of the Nation this morning. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47 with me, Freddie Ndemuli. Yes, indeed, matters health given prominence on the dailies today. It's on the front page of the Daily Nation as a big headline. Teachers and police face SHA medical crisis. It's not even what we've been watching. This one talks about the same association, RUFA, warning that they will not treat teachers or police officers once the two groups transition from their respective insurance medical covers to the SHA in December, citing rising debts. Yeah, most hospitals have not received payments from state insurance for over a year. It's also there on the front page of the Standard. SHA crisis leaves patients stranded nationwide. Matters health given prominence. A state or a nation that cannot provide the basic services to its citizens, health, education, is definitely a problem. Today, members of the National Assembly return from recess. Should this be one of the things they will be attending to? Lucky enough for us, we have two members of the National Assembly on our panel this morning. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Titus Lote, MP Kachiliba.
Good morning.
And Wakili Harrison Kinyanjui, also joining us this morning. Gentlemen, karibuni sana.
Thank you.
We tend to talk more about politics, especially as we get closer and closer to the by-elections and to the 2027 general election. But the main reason or the main point of politics is to enable the provision of services to Kenyans. Do you think, Bwana Gakuya, that what is happening with SHA has reached crisis level enough to ensure that our attention, and when I say our attention from all levels of governance, the National Assembly included, that we've gotten to a point when this should attract our attention?
Thank you, Demuri. Allow me to salute viewers wherever they are watching this morning show from. And coming to the big question, whether SHA is really making any good to the health services. One, let me say, there was a big haste to convert NHIF to SHA. And probably what could have made this to be acceptable is maybe the deliverance of services that NHIF by then it was unable to have providing. But considering the new service provider, who is SHA, and the former NHIF, I can't see any difference at all. In fact, we are even in more crisis than before. And the big question is, until when this one is going to be sustainable? There is no way that we can close our eyes and see that these private service providers, which want to close services, are not really asking for their dues. And if the government cannot be able to pay them, because they're asking for close to 43 billion for now, and they're also saying that there are pending bills that actually that were not taken care of from the defunct NHIF. The big question is, this particular service provider, SHA, ought to have been doing better. Why? Because today, those who are contributing to this kitty are contributing big money than before. Assume today, everybody out there before was contributing anything to do with 300. But today, there are those who are contributing depending on their earnings. And therefore, you'll find somebody like a member of parliament who is contributing almost 16,000 shillings. And the reason why probably we have been quiet on this, because it was never discussed anywhere, and we never agreed to be to this kind of reduction. But we went mute because we thought that, in fact, this is a service provider who will come up and boost these services, and then the people will be happy. But it's unfortunate that from the day one, people who are looking for dialysis services are always in terrible crisis to date. Their issues has never been taken care of on the right way. Number two, you realize that even if somebody dies and he's a full member of SHA, it can only offer 10%. Then my big question is, what is the difference between the former defunct and the current? And what are we to achieve from these 100 billion, 104 billion project? Right. To me, this one we were conned, and something has to be done, and the government should rethink on it. If it is not working, get people back to where they deserve. Okay. Or because there's no need of trying to sell something which is not sellable. Right. As of now, those are service providers that are saying that the SHA is broke. If SHA is broke and it's the insurance cover, then how do we expect it to flourish and provide services required? Kenyans are going to be heading to a big trouble. And I think if there is something that we should not joke. We should not joke with the lives of the people. And we may joke with it. There are two areas that Kenya and our government, we must be serious on. This is the health of Kenyans and education. These are two things that we cannot close our eyes. Whether these services are devolved or not, we cannot at any point fail to keep on touch, seeing how things are working. And as a policy makers, I think we have a duty to rethink, to relook, And if it's not working, then we ask the public what they want it to be.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, people can only support something which has a product. If it does not have, then cross it and move forward.
Bonalote, in exactly 7 days' time, it will be 1 year since the official rollout of SHA. And you've been here on this panel and talked about the good intentions behind the thinking of this SHA and the move from NHIF to this one. But for a patient anywhere in Kenya, good intentions are not the answer. They need treatment. Kenyans who have fully paid their premium for SHA cannot access the same services at private medical facilities. Don't you think that, yes, as Bwana says, it is time to rethink this plan, however good the intentions were initially?
Well, thank you, Indimole, for this. Personally, I think it's important that we do not discredit SHA on some of the threatening issues that continues to follow SHA. 1 year, SHA is not even 1 year. 7 days it will be 1 year. A 1-year-old child still have issues. A 1-year-old child still learns. A 1-year-old child still explores the world. So for me, I don't think we need to say SHA is bad because we've actually seen SHA working. The only thing we need to do is to always remodel SHA so that any of the issues that we encounter is worked on well. I think the issue at hand now is that the shifting of the teachers and the military from SIGNET or the other private institution health provider to SHA. That is exactly what is happening. And the hospitals are rejecting on the basis that when SHA took over from NHIF, there was around 33 billion shillings that was owed, which was not paid. And so the health facilities are thinking, if now they're moving from SIGNET and the other private institution, private providers to SHA, then nobody's going to pay for the bills that they are owing from these others. So that it becomes a little bit complicated for them because they think that SHA then will not be able to pay for the bills that is owed on the other side where they're moving on from. And the reason why, it's not that SHA is not working. It is the transition period. And the transition period is a learning curve. And I think the government committed. When SHA took over from NHIF, we actually saw the government saying that we are aware of the bills. We are aware of what hospitals are owed by NHIF, despite the fact that even that is owed by NHIF, some of them were fraudulent. And I think we were here, Fred, a month ago, and we were complaining about the inflation and fraudulent claims that is being meted on SHA by private institutions. And up to now, the Cabinet Secretary has said he's not going to pay 10.6 billion shillings that is being claimed by private providers because there was a public outcry that the issue that bedeviled NHIF is actually...
But those are valid claims.
That is why they are valid. They could be valid claims.
No, could be. They are legitimate.
They could be that the reason why the Cabinet Secretary, and I think Kenyans said while we were here, they said those are fraudulent. And it was right for the Cabinet Secretary to listen to Kenyans and say, because it is claimed that they're fraudulent, let us put them into what we call verification. And so, whether the Cabinet Secretary did not outright reject paying the 10.6 billion. He said we need to verify because that is all that affected NHIF. NHIF suffered because there were a lot of fraudulent claims where a mother is purported to have given birth three times in 1 year through cesarean. Okay. We've actually seen the same now coming to SHA. So I think the Cabinet Secretary is right to say as much as we're going into a Nobel, very nice health system called SHA, let us not bring in the issues that affected SHA.
Are we therefore saying, Wakili, that these private institutions are being unfair to the government by making these demands so soon, and so soon meaning 1 year after the rollout of this big program?
Thank you very much. Let me remind Kenyans that we have a Court of Appeal hearing on the validity, the constitutionality of SHA. And let me remind Kenyans that the Constitutional Court declared SHA, the laws under SHA, to be unconstitutional. So how they became constitutional, I do not know. And one of the objections was that the honorable members of the National Assembly have absolutely no clue even what provisions are in that SHA. They merely just passed, rubber-stamped, and allowed that to pass. But what I hear Honorable Member Lote say is that, oh, let's have this utopia and let's go on experimenting with it while we risk Kenyans' lives. It's not rational at all. Because if you are going to incept a system to replace what you call defunct, non-functional, or oppressive system, then you must have worked out not only the roadmap, but also look at the bottlenecks. Did they theorize and that their theorems actually never worked? Or was it that they were very ambitious? Let me say this. SHA is a project for which the president has said personally, I'm not going to let it fail. Come rain, come shine. So he's personally invested in SHA. But look at the problem that we are faced with. At a very personal level, Article 46 of the Constitution gives every Kenyan the right to services and goods of a quality that guarantees and ensures their health and their economic prosperity. What do we have now? The police and the teachers accosted by a scenario where they cannot have treatment because SHA is failing them. And why is that so? Because the government does not want to see the reality that, look, you have private institutions. You cannot lump them together with public institutions that are health providers, that they do have overheads, that they have doctors working under them. And these are not on government's payroll. And the scheme that you have in order to provide these health services is that you are going to enable them through the SHA forum and that they can be able then to sustain that scheme. It is no longer tenable that a private institution, you get into your private pocket, you want to fund a government health service, and then when you go for the payment and you say that, look, these are the payments that we have incurred in the process of meeting the obligations under your SHA, they tell you, no, those are fraudulent. And they tell you that, okay, fine, we have forwarded to the DCI. Then they tell you, okay, fine, we did treat these so many people, pay us while you say that you investigate that. Then they tell you that, look, we're giving you 14 days. Look into this, and they don't. And then these private institutions, they tell you that, wait, we no longer can do this as Kenyan people. If you want to come for any health service, you pay cash and you go home. What is that doing? It is negating the very SHA concept, which was to digitize people, was to digitize the processes. And I'm very surprised that honorable members of parliament never got to question this Digital Health Act. You're collecting people's health data. This health data is not even being stored in this country. It is being traded by foreigners. And then in the end, it is being exposed through these data breaches all over. And even what is more shocking is that the honorable members of the National Assembly have allowed a private entity to manage these SHA funds. And yet the Constitution says that every penny that is collected from the Kenyan people should go to the consolidated fund. What we are saying is SHA is not for the Kenyan people. It is a utopia that exists in the mind of the president and they who support it, but on the ground, it's not functioning.
Yes, and this is a question to the members of parliament now, that the fact that SHA appears to be failing, according to Wakili, is that to a huge extent, it also talks about the failure of members of the National Assembly to do their job and ensure that it is watertight. And as far as legislation, the legal framework around it, to ensure that some of these challenges that are being faced now, because ideally, the work of legislators is to probably add quality to government policy by ensuring that it is properly and ring-fenced under proper legislation. Do you agree, Bwana Gakuya, that on that front you failed?
Let us all agree that as much as a policy can be as good as it can be, there can be some teething issues. And where I cannot support my good colleague is where we are saying that 1 year is it's like a pilot process. Because for sure, SHA did not came as a new as a new insurance. It came in to replace NHIF. So there was an existing a national insurance fund. And what we can say, Dimboli, here, let us not put any blame to anybody. But we need to ask ourselves, is the funds that Kenyans are contributing to the kitty really assisting Kenyans? Are they getting value of their money?
Do you know about a payroll? Did you know about a payroll?
Whether it is who or who, are we getting value of the money? And in this case, without pointing finger to anybody, this is where we need to move to a universe and ask ourselves, do we really need to have these kind of services out of this particular SHA? Because SHA came to rescue the problems that we had there before. But if we have seen it is not working and it is not providing services required, it is not moving, then we need to rethink what are we supposed to do as a country. Because surely, if the reason to bring the SHA was to is to remove mess that was there before, then we are in a bigger mess. It tells you that what we have taken, the route we have taken, is not the right direction.
Yes. And the question now is,
and without
is there a role that you play as a member of the National Assembly in redirecting our thinking in...
let us agree on one thing, that the way that the National Assembly or the Parliament is made is that it has what we call committees that goes into a tandem to check, and that's why there is this oversight. And that we need that committee of health. It should bring a report. Because actually they are the one who has the daily contact with this service provider. And they are the people to bring a report to the floor of the House, tell the House, these are the problems. And if these are problems we cannot be able to solve, are we better in where we are? Or can we get to where we were there before?
But Mheshimiwa, there was a report. There was a report.
Gentlemen, allow us to take a short break. We'll be back to finish this conversation because even Bonalote, you need to contribute and answer that question.
I will answer
on behalf of members of the National Assembly. Wakili, I'll come back to you as well. You're watching Morning Cafe today. Matters health dominating our discussion this part. We'll talk about politics later. Teachers police face SHA medical crisis, and SHA crisis leaves patients stranded nationwide. We'll be back in a short while.
Is changing every day, and so should we, for the better. Each week, we tackle the big why, the question that should be on everyone's mind. Why isn't this fixed yet? Deforestation, global warming, and the adverse effects of climate change. The future isn't just something that we inherit, it's something that we create. Join us on The Green Fix as we tell the stories of those who refuse to give up. When it comes to fixing the planet, there is no time to waste. Join me, Shiksha Arora, on Thursdays at 9 p.m. on The Green Fix as we look into the big why, you and I.
For comprehensive information and education on your health, Body Garage is here.
Don't allow anyone to pluck out your good tooth as long as it is strong and stable.
Cancer doesn't start today and you get the symptoms tomorrow. By the time you pick it or the time it is manifesting in you, probably will be there about 5 to 10 years.
The eye is the window to the rest of the body.
Don't forget to stay hydrated.
And of course, you at home do take your water.
So the ultimate test is actually you check your urine. Your urine should be
Welcome back. You're watching Morning Cafe on TV 47. We continue discussing matters health, provision, and serious disagreements here even during the break on whether or not SHA is working. And I think that has become the statement. Is SHA working? SHA is not working. When I look at the question is now, the role that members of the National Assembly play in ensuring that some of these government policies are actually watertight and they work for the people, because these are the people you represent. If it's not working, a patient in Kacheliba knows that there is an MP by the name Titus Lote who will ensure that it works.
Sure.
Do you agree that the National Assembly has failed Kenyans in ensuring that SHA works?
I don't think that the National Assembly has failed. And to put the record straight, when political parties who were campaigning for the 2022 elections, they put their manifesto. And if you look at the manifesto of both the rival parties then, the Azimio coalition and the Kenya Kwanza coalition, they all had this health system that is supposed to work. And so the members of parliament, having come in through political parties, in their numbers, they are supposed to ensure that the policies that were actually discussed during the campaigns are actually put into practice, and SHA was one of them. And because of the majority in parliament, and including those in the opposition who believe that there is an health system that is required, we are actually to pass this. It doesn't matter what you think about SHA or not SHA. What we know is that the Azimio coalition promised Kenyans that if they clinch to power, they're going to give them a good health system. And the Kenya Kwanza did the same. And so members of parliament are actually doing what they believe.
Allow me to ask you this question, because one of the issues raised back then was that there was no proper formula to ensure that those people who are not in formal employment actually make contributions to SHA. Because some of the issues raised is that SHA is probably broke and not able to fund all these services. Do you feel that the legislators did a good job in ensuring that everyone is brought on board in as far as contributing to
I want to say this, Fred, without blinking. I want to say that the people that are actually fighting SHA now are the people that benefited from the loopholes that were created by the NHIF. So they have actually come to SHA. You find them saying NHIF was better than SHA, and yet if we compare both NHIF and SHA, NHIF had a lot of issues which SHA is trying to address, including manipulation of the system. And even when Kenyans were complaining recently that SHA is actually getting the problems that NHIF had of people overclaiming, the cabinet secretary said that we need to ensure that we verify every claim. The people that are even fighting SHA now, the people that are saying that we need to kill SHA so that NHIF come back, are the people that really benefited unfairly. And they took monies from public coffers unfairly through claims that are fictitious. I'll tell you, anybody fighting SHA now is a public enemy to the people of this country, because SHA is addressing issues that NHIF could not. And again, every citizen of this country deserves to be treated through a proper health system.
You've not addressed the issue of funding, because there are serious concerns, and they've been raised through the media, that the issue is that SHA is not able to meet all the pending bills because the contributions do not cover the claims. And this is because a majority of Kenyans who are not in formal employment are not contributing to the system. Don't you think that that is due to lack of a proper legislative framework?
First of all, if today you look at even what this, what we call the RUPA is saying, they've actually agreed that outpatients are treatable. And so if we got a system that can be able to treat all outpatients, and the president said it very clearly recently, that anybody coming in for an outpatient through SHA is treated. Probably what we're talking about is the inpatient. And so, first of all, we will need to appreciate that SHA is working, that anybody, and again, most of the patients coming to hospital facility are people that are coming through an outpatient. If they are able to be treated, then we can say that we have addressed half of the problems in this country. So let us not try to pour cold water on SHA, yet we know SHA is actually facing a lot of resistance from the fictitious claimants, not Kenyans.
Final word on this, so that we move to the politics now.
It's very unfortunate that an honorable member of parliament is saying that anyone who is criticizing SHA is an enemy of the state. Come on. This is a problem with the thinking of the leadership in this country. And we need a paradigm shift. We need a change. Because if you tell me that this cup is black, and I can see with my eyes, everybody can see objectively this is not black, it is white. What are you telling me? I should just close up my eyes. I should be blind to the fact. Now here is a complaint, a legit complaint by they who are within the system and saying that, look, there are valid cases that are coming up to SHA for approval, but they're being rejected, and they're saying that we have capped, and they're saying we will not treat these cancer patients because we've exhausted the cap. What is that? There was a legitimate expectation on the part of they who are in the system. And Ruto is saying that, look, we have done our very best, but the system of SHA is wholly and totally unsustainable. But what does this speak of? It speaks of a nation led by people, policymakers, whose priorities are wholly lopsided. And if I'm not going to be veering very off the tangent, these are corrupt people. Big Pharma is supposed to be benefiting through SHA, big time. And our priority should be that we should be investing in homeopathic, or at least treatment that is natural. A nation that invests such billions of money through medication, and we're not even manufacturing majority of those drugs, medication, locally. We have to import. So who is the beneficiary of this? The foreigner, the foreign company, the big pharma. And this big pharma is probably paying some of these people to sustain and maintain this sort of arrangement, while the average Kenyan person is therefore driven off the edge of existence, does not enjoy health facility and care, contrary to the Constitution, and nobody is caring, but in fact, instead of caring, they are just showing them and telling them, you are an enemy of the state, like we have heard. What do we do as a people? Easy that we say, let's go on, let's try fixing these, which is, according to them who are inside us, cannot be sustained. They are telling you in black and white, it's unsustainable. Swallow your pride. Let's go back to NHIF. When you feel that you have fixed it enough, then we can say that this is it. But lastly, I have to ask the Kenyan people. Really, if the government is a monopoly provider of a service, the monopoly provider of a service, SHA, and it is railroading and forcing you into it, one, Article 36 of the Constitution says you can never be compelled to join any association or group or any entity against your will. Come on, if I'm healthy, if I'm just taking care of myself, I maintain my, health status, and you're forcing me into getting into a system that at the very bare minimum is failing me. Oh, come on, Kenyan people. We have just to say, no, come on. Right. We are getting into a socialist. Is it a communist society? Is it a socialist, governance?
All right, Wakili. Thank you for that. And yes, the question boils down to, is SHA working or not? Allow me to read some feedback that we have here from our viewers. Fred Mukwa says, MTI used don't favor the less fortunate. I don't get what he's saying. Apareng Apax Elijah is saying it is working in the North Rift. Is following. I think that could be one of your constituents probably. Should be. In West Pokot.
A very bright young man.
Akoth Marceline says one term siku zote, this thing is not working at all. Watching live from Kitale Birunda, Willie Bazu. Jessica Esther Makongo says streaming live. Health Insurance Solutions, you have a medical cover for yourself or family, whether you have a payslip or not. Get in touch for assistance. We want after biashara achana na sisi wewe. Rogers Nyariki, KTK Amsterdam, Netherlands, tuko tuned. Thank you for watching all the way from Netherlands. Good morning, Wesley Gibson, and Eunice Leting says following you from Kipkaren River. Pili Pili Hoho says he's in as well. Thank you so much for your contributions. Keep watching TV47 on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. TV47 on TikTok, and on X, it's TV47. Digital. One more. Crispin Okumu says it started well last year, but it was destroyed the moment they demanded yearly payments. Yes, indeed. In a week's time, 7 days from today, it'll be exactly 1 year since the official rollout of the SHA.
If you can allow me just to add a small light on that. What we need to see is end result. End result, a patient needs service when he gets into a particular health center or any other health services. But let me tell you, it is not appearing well at all when a patient is suffering, when already paid for a particular service. It is not for the coming. And therefore, my appeal is, if it is not working, let us not hold there. Yes, because we may hold there and it's not going to work. We have given it enough time. A year is quite a maximum time. So I think if a child was to crow at this particular time, could have grown. Yes. And now it should be working. Right. So for us, it is not working. And let us agree that it's not working so that whatever it requires to be done to make it work is done.
Okay.
The ministry should do its part and make sure that, in fact, the service is well provided.
And the National Assembly too. That's getting back from recess today.
Because National Assembly is whistleblower, and they are the oversight. They should oversight and make noise.
All right. Yeah. Thank you for that. And this is where we at least pause that conversation about SHA. I want us to move on to some politics because I can see Raila Odinga is back on the front pages. It's been a while we've not seen Raila Odinga on the front pages. He's back there on the front page of the Daily Nation. Raila saying no deal on Ruto re-election. This story is also in the inside pages of the Standard. Raila, ODM has not decided on its flag bearer for the 2027 election. On the Star as well, the image there of the former Prime Minister. Is Raila planning to run against Ruto? It's a big question. The veteran politician is busy rebuilding his 20-year-old party and recruiting new members as preparations for 2027 poll begin to take shape in earnest. It is part of the stories covered here at TV47 as well. Let's have that story then get into the conversation.
Odinga has ordered ODM leaders to stop campaigning for Ruto's re-election, warning that such moves undermine party unity. He says the party might front a candidate in the 2027 election.
And we've signed and agreed that we'll work together up to 2027. We have not passed any resolution as a party to say how we're going to go into the election of 2027. So wherever you are, don't commit the party to some things which have not been discussed. Let those things be discussed first.
The remarks comes amid growing friction in ODM, with some members threatening to walk out if the party appears to lean towards Ruto. Even Secretary General Edwin Sifuna has criticized what he calls intolerance inside ODM.
We are ODM. Who's told you that ODM will not have a candidate in 2027? Who has told you? So first, think as ODM. We have a clear plan that we have negotiated and we have agreed on, and let us continue to implement that plan.
And 2 decades since the Orange Movement burst into the scene, ODM is once again at a turning point. As the party marks its 20th anniversary, Raila Odinga is making it clear ODM is not backing President William Ruto in 2027.
First, think as ODM. We have a clear plan that we have negotiated and we have agreed on, and let us continue to implement that plan. Other decisions we'll take when the time comes.
Meanwhile, ODM is tightening its ranks with a major shakeup. Governors Abdul Samad Nasir and Simba Arati alongside Senator Godfrey Osotsi. Now deputies Raila replacing former deputies Hassan Joho and Wycliffe Oparanya. Grassroots elections are underway to inject fresh loyalty and energy. In October, ODM will mark its 20th anniversary in Mombasa with a 3-day celebration. Sports, concerts and conventions for youth and women, all doubling as a reset button for the party.
We must also push the strategy that there must be an orange in every county.
At 20, ODM is no longer the fiery newcomer it once was. But as Raila Odinga shuts down rumors of backing Ruto, the bigger question lingers. Will he once again be on the presidential ballot, or will ODM field a fresh face for 2027?
We as ODM must remain ODM and remain focused because the country needs ODM.
For supporters, ODM's anniversary is a celebration. For Raila Odinga, it is also a declaration that the Orange Party is not for sale and not for William Ruto. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
So I've just indicated what we may.
I'm tempted to say maneno haya sio mageni mjini, labda kwa mgeni kijijini. A few months back, Raila Odinga insisted that ODM is not in government. And one wonders, Wakili, are you seeing anything different this time around with that pronouncement by Raila Odinga? Are you taking him seriously? Do you take his statements, especially political ones, since the formation of the broad-based arrangement, with as much weight as probably you did before that?
No, I don't. And it's so very sad because these are politicians. He is a politician, quintessential politician. He is in an echo chamber and he's there talking almost to himself in the sense that he needs self-validation. He hears the voices, for instance, of the ODM members who are telling him that, look, the decision you took to join yourself with the government that is abducting its own citizens, killing its own Gen Zs and they who are protesting, killing the economy, destroying the education sector, destroying the health sector, as we have seen, failing its own people, giving false promises on a daily basis. And yet you want the Kenyan people to endorse you for 2027. And then we see this ambivalence. We see this wishy-washy position. They don't have a crystallized position to the Kenyan people. In Mombasa, they say, oh, you know, we will be supporting Ruto for a re-election in 2027. Now you hear him say, oh, come on, who say that we don't have our own candidate? You can't take a politician like that seriously. What has he done? He has attritioned, totally withered down whatever little hope that the Kenyan people had in him, that peradventure he could hold the government to account. He could at least have these sort of scandals that are going on exposed, or go to Parliament, use the machinery that he has in terms of the numbers in the Senate and in the National Assembly to ameliorate the suffering that Kenyan people are going through on a daily basis. He doesn't. Rather, he is seen as docile, complicit, part of the whole problem of the Kenyan people. What is the reaction of the Kenyan people? That, look, we do not want you. Politely, look, step aside. And this was a voice that the Gen Z made clear to him last year during the demonstration. That, look, we don't want you in this right now. You've done your part, and probably you played your role. We don't know how effective it was. We can't see the fruits right now, but look, this is our opportunity. What does that bespeak of 2027? In the future that then for ODM, if it portends good or a bad omen. This to me is a bad omen. How do I say so? Because in the first place, you hear some members of the National Assembly of ODM who say that we were not given the agenda of the meeting. We had no clue what was going to be there. And some of them saying that we were not invited. What does that bespeak of unity? And then this is a political party that has received billions in terms of the political party's fund. The taxpayer is funding a political party whose aspirations and the articulation of their own interests is so far removed from them. What then do you tell the Kenyan people that you are going to bring on the table in terms of change, hope, and something different from what they are going through right now? I think, this is my personal take, I have absolutely no intention to cast aspersions on Raila Odinga. I think he saw something, and a spark went off on him, and there was a light bulb in him when Mutharika then in Malawi somehow then overpowers, at least at the preliminary level, that we can say that Mutharika is going to overrun Chakwera. And therefore, he probably sees some hope in him being the flag bearer, and now, offloading Ruto. I don't know. Probably that's the scenario. But what is it in ODM that the average Kenyan person can say, today, I see a flicker of light. I see some hope. I see something different from the UDA Kenya Kwanza. Nothing. They are together. They are in bed, abetting and aiding corruption on a daily basis. And all those scandals involve some of their wing, some of the political players, and we, the Kenyan people, are left here wondering, oh, 20 years you're celebrating, you're gonna be celebrating, and you can see that you're like a blind person leading the blind into a pit.
All right. Lote, and Raila Odinga's words, especially in opposition politics, has been whenever he says something, people take him seriously. But over the past few months, his declaration that ODM is not in government, everyone can see they are in government. Now he comes out and says, okay, fine, we've not made a decision about this. Do you think Kenyans really take his words that seriously, or is media just making a big deal out of nothing?
Thank you. I actually listened to Wakili, and I actually wonder if Kenya is a failed state. From what I hear from Wakili, is like we are all living in a doomed society where everything is not working. SHA is not working, the political parties are not working, our leaders are not working. Seriously? I think Kenya is working. Kenya is one of these countries within Africa that is a beam of hope in Africa. So if we can say that there's nothing working here in Kenya, it basically means that Africa is all dead. But let me come to what you're saying, is that this is our condition. This is our political parties. This is our state. This is our progress of growth politically. We cannot say that we are where probably Ethiopia, where Wakili is thinking we must be, but we are growing. We are progressing from the one-party state which we used to have in the 1980s and 90s to where we are now, where coalitions can be formed to be able to move governments. I'll say this about Raila. Tell me of one person, one politician now who is not a student of Raila. Ruto is a student of Raila. Kalonzo Musyoka is a student of Raila. And the reason why, even when the party, the commemoration, the anniversary is going to be done in Mombasa, they are all going to be invited as formation or the formative members. Basically, we are dealing with a person that have actually run through the landscape of political environment in this country for a period of probably 40, 50 years. He's worked with literally every president of this country. And one thing about Raila, which I will actually want to say is positive, is that he knows that even after election, a country has to move on. And the reason why is even when he was defeated by Moi, he decided to work with Moi so that the country can move on. When he was defeated by Kibaki, he decided to work with Kibaki so that the country can move on. And even up to this particular time, Raila is working with Ruto, not because they are political buddies, because he believes that it's important that the sitting government be given a chance to work. So for Raila to call out his troops and say, no, listen, this is a coalition and it's not a coalition of an election of 2027. It's a coalition that allows Kenyans to operate. For me, I think that is a very positive thing from Raila. Unlike probably the other opposition leaders that we see who want to antagonize the government and everything, including the positive ones. So I will say, one, it is important that a celebration, an anniversary is supposed to be done. We cannot just say because ODM is failed, we cannot allow it to have an anniversary. Let it have an anniversary. And this anniversary is just as a commemoration of a milestone and also a statement of intent for the 2027 election. How do you expect, my friend, to see Raila seeing his troops campaigning for Ruto and he's sitting? I think it's important for him to bring them to order. One thing that I know clearly is that Raila is a political strategist. And Raila has worked through political strategy all this time. What they're trying to do is to create a formidable force of ODM so that they can be able to negotiate for the government that is coming. I really do not think that Raila will run for 2027. Mm-hmm. Raila is trying to create a force so that when the next government is formed, he sits at the table to negotiate for
whoever forms the government.
Whoever forms the government.
Okay.
And I think we already know who he wants to form the government because he's already in bed with Ruto and they are actually doing things. And so probably for me, that is where Raila wants the government to be formed. But he cannot just tell his people, let's go and campaign for Ruto. It is not going to be right for him to do that. And the reason why he actually
to strike a deal. So therefore the vision for ODM that they want to articulate now is to strike a deal in the future.
But Wakili, they've done it for the last how many years?
But we have to come from that mentality. We have to
and that is
change.
The
paradigm has to change.
That is the Ethiopian world that we are not living in, Wakili. Yeah. It is important that we also live the reality of this country. country now.
And this has been our reality for the past few decades.
It may have been, but we have just to break away from that because it's chaining us. It's locked us into this cycle. It's a repeat cycle that it's endless. Now look, the Kenyan people now look for, okay, who is our next hope? Who is our next hope? Every 5 year, look at those blocks of 5 years. Within 20 years.
Okay. But Nagakuya, Raila is known, and I think he's gotten used to the fact that whatever statement he makes, people make a big deal out of it, from issues like Tinga, Imemeza, Jogo, Kibaki Tosha, and all this. Now him saying he'll not support, they've yet to make a declaration. He, of course, is expecting that it will have some consequences. From where you sit politically, do you think even for that coalition, what we call now the United Opposition, that even the statements by Raila Odinga could mean a lot? 23 months to election.
On the onset, Idimboli, let us agree that Raila has, there alone has been a factor. And there is a time that he has done his work, his part very well. Let us not forget that, in fact, Raila is one of the fighters that fought very vigorously for the multipartyism. But the only problem with him is that he makes himself. He's cold and warm. He's cold and warm. And that whenever an election comes to an end, Raila should bring his drama so that he can negotiate with that elected government and settle himself. As of now, what I can tell Kenyans is one very clear that allow Raila to move on in his butter, because already Raila, he is beaten now eating his butter and bread. And there's nothing wrong with that. He has made his decision. But the problem is we are mixing our constitution, which is very clear. Today, we have a National Assembly and Senate, where Raila is still clinging on the positions that actually mandated to a minority. And he's still inside the government. And therefore, me, what I would like to ask Raila for now, can you take one side? So just get inside, hold it, leave this other position to those others who can call them opposition, so that we can learn even the National Assembly and Parliament and Senate on a smooth way. But when you are both poking on those mandates of the minority leadership in the House, and still you are in the government, then you are mixing something that actually does not appear anywhere in our Constitution. And as of now, the one thing that I can tell you is that Raila is not going to be a factor at all politically. And he will only command one area, his region. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you, as of now, as much as Raila we know, the Raila who was a commander, that command has gone. That command has evaporated. It's not there. But I can tell you, Raila can now play politics for survival.
All right.
And he's playing survival politics. And let me tell you, he will be able to control his team, and especially a team which comes from his native, not nationally.
Yet it's not lost on us that where he made this address was during a parliamentary group meeting, an ODM parliamentary group meeting, at a time when they're coming back from a long recess. And he was addressing members of parliament. He controls a huge chunk, 85 members for ODM. It's the second biggest party there. For him to insist that legislators need to do their work and not be bogged down by this thing of supporting William Ruto, that could indicate something else. Do you think he's keen on controlling the legislative agenda? Because now he can. If at all the president wants something, he has to depend on Raila Odinga and his troops in parliament to actually support his legislative agenda. Do you think that Raila Odinga knows this and that is what he wants to do in the last 23 months of this electoral cycle?
What I see more is self-aggrandizement. It is more about what can I get? What can I milk from this government? So you probably even this is a threat that he's issuing to Ruto, that look, I may overturn
the apple cart for you in 2027, and therefore think twice, or probably he needs to squeeze in a little bit more money from Ruto by whatever means, whatever arrangement they have, because of course there is a financial benefit that he derives from the association he has with Ruto. But look at what Honorable Gakuya is saying, that what is this mongrel that we have in terms of an opposition that is part of government? Well, I mean, what is your conception of democracy? What is your take on the constitutional imperative that Kenya is a democratic state? It's multi-party, and now you have a merger, informal, and all that they have, then they tell us is a memorandum of understanding outside the political parties act. This is not a compact that is bound within the province of the law. The agreement is more of a political vehicle for them to, quote unquote, survive and go through the electoral cycle so that then we hit the 5-year period. So he's not serious. What do I mean? If he has his own ODM manifesto, is that of course, it's littered and it's, spread with all those policies that they wanted if they were in government, and they should be the shadow government, in my humble view, they would be implementing. So are those the policies that the legislatures in the National Assembly have been articulating for the last 24 months? Have they got these synergies to work together with you, dear, to say that, look, there is a commonality between your blueprint and our blueprint called our manifesto, new manifesto, and therefore we have these joint efforts to make. Have we seen that? We haven't. What we see is a support of Adani. And what we see him even saying as yesterday, oh, why are you Kenyans questioning about the PPPs? We should sell these parastatals if they are non-functional.
Wakili, are you saying that he has lost, if at all he was to return to the opposition trenches, and that ODM reassumes its position, as it were, as a leader of minority in parliament proper? Are you saying that they've already lost that opportunity, that they cannot now go back? And if they do you think they would be as effective?
No. One, I think they've lost. The landscape has changed in very material terms. Number one, we have a more informed Kenyan populace, very inquisitive and demanding of their rights. Even as I think yesterday, there's a report in the Daily Nation saying that there was a court decision by 3 judgments saying that county governments owe the citizenry on the ground accountability, and they should know about the agenda and whatever procurement is being done. So the landscape has changed on all fronts in terms of economics. There are more poorer Kenyans today than there. We would say that there were, if we go back 10 years when ODM was a force to reckon with, or even if we go back to the beginning of 2022, more Kenyans don't have any hope of coming from the economic doldrums that they are in right now. When this government came in and said that, we found empty coffers. We came from the so-called COVID-19 scenario and we were stranded in terms of the financial landscape. The Kenyan people gave them time. But look at the policies that they have adopted over time. These have weakened the shilling in terms of the inflation, the Kenyan average person. So the ODM that was in 2022 is not the ODM today. The Kenyan people and the Gen Zs have come up. And let's remember that we have a bulging youth who demand much more of the political class now than 10 years back. So in my humble view, ODM, in terms of its outlook, seems to have fallen totally out of sync with that reality. Look at even the people who were there in that meeting. I mean, and with tremendous respect,
I don't want to say anything, but I mean, the visuals themselves, I mean, those are old people, and you don't hear the young people, being given the podium. So what are we saying? ODM no longer has that vision for a changed, a dynamic, and a forward-looking Kenya. What they have, in my view, in tremendous respect to Mheshimiwa here, because he said that they are going to celebrate and they are going to be, with the rear view mirror in mind, what ODM has achieved. In my view, I mean, that is the ODM of yesterday.
And it's done.
And that's done. That's done. The Kenyan people want change that is here and now. They are not living in the past. I mean, they are not fixated with this. There was an ODM that was functional then, so it's going to be, no, the Kenyan people want, look, I don't care what political party you come from. Look, I want something functional in terms of my society. And I want, for those people who are unemployed, I want employment. And if you're in government, if you're stealing, I am going to come up for you. Which is why, during the Gen Z demonstrations, they were going for the people. You are responsible. For instance, in Mala, the person responsible in finance, and I don't want to name them, you saw them, we are calling up on you, we are naming you and we are coming to visit you. What is that as a lesson to ODM that they never seem to have learned?
Yet we've seen ODM and
it's sad.
Attach and detach from political parties and political formations seamlessly. Bwana Lote, do you agree that with the assessment by Wakili that this time around detaching from UDA is going to be a tall order for Raila Odinga and ODM as a whole? That 23 months to election, people have already decided they've been lumped together with UDA, and detaching will be impossible.
Now, they say in politics, even one day makes a lot of difference.
And you are a member of Azimio.
Yeah, I'm a member of Azimio, and I tell you, one day in politics make a huge difference. So we cannot say 23 months to elections that ODM has lost it. In any case, the faith is, if you look at what happened recently, when there was a signed deal between Raila Odinga and William Ruto, their coalition is strong. What basically Raila is doing is to strengthen the part of the coalition called ODM, because then Ruto is also going to strengthen the part of the coalition that he holds. Basically, if you look at the politics behind it, we're basically talking about a coalition that is going all the way past 2027. And so let us not be challenged by what is happening. Raila Odinga cannot allow ODM just to sink because they are in a grand coalition with Kenya Kwanza. Is strengthening it for purposes of the coalition. That is my view. And so I cannot, as this particular point, coming from the Azimio part of the government, and you can see we are supporting government because we've actually gone into a coalition and we want this country to work. And so for the things that have worked, I think we will credit this coalition. We will credit the two arms of the parties that are actually forming the grand coalition. And for things that have not worked, we will also bash them for that. Okay. And I think it is important that we allow governments to work. That is my basic principle. Okay. The governments need to work. And to oppose the government at every single turn is not democracy. That is basically witch hunt.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me throw a spanner in the works. And the united opposition, a few months back, there were even indications and even overtures, however non-coordinated, towards Raila Odinga. And there are statements even by the former deputy president saying that, Raila Odinga should come to this side and we would make him president. If he wants to ever be president, we will make him president. Do you think that Raila Odinga would be open to that now that he's trying to create or recreate his identity? Because people were talking about the possibility of him running in 2027. Do you think he has already seen that? Because the People Daily on the front page talks about the rift within the united opposition in coming up with a flag bearer for 2027.
Idimole, the truth of the matter is that that time has lapsed. I don't think that chance is any longer there. And Raila immediately he lost the seat that he was pushing for in Ethiopia. Then the opposition thought that the man probably may come and take side to be part of the opposition. But Raila took his stand and decided to work with the ruling, which is okay because that is his own independent decision. And for now, if Raila decides to quit now the partnership with the ruling, I think most likely what will happen is that he will walk alone. Mm-hmm. He can only be a candidate on his own. Because he has already dented himself. So he cannot be always using others. He has been using Kalonzo for long, 3 times. And no single day he allowed Kalonzo to take the mantle, even the last one. So in this case, because he has that already history known, his cards might not work with the opposition. As of now, I am sure those who are now the king pillars of the united opposition, the card that they can play for now is one of their own. Mm-hmm. But they cannot shop a candidate from Raila. Mm-hmm. And this one, count it out. This will not work. But I can tell you for sure, Raila has his democratic right because it is not casted on a stone that the marriage should extend to 2027. And in case he decides to terminate the marriage by the end of by the 2027, and then he decide to run for the presidency, he's most welcome. Mm-hmm. But I can tell you, he's not going to injure the opposition. Mm-hmm. He can only be going to injure his friend.
No, but the door for him to join the united opposition, that door is closed.
I can tell you for sure, he can only come to support, but not come to demand.
What do you think that would do? He decided to work with this team that's already out there.
I think, in my humble view, the image that Raila had cultivated over time as a defender of the democratic space is gone irredeemably. He can't accept that, in my humble view. And then this idea that he is a stabilizer of government, he is the go-to, he's a go-to expert, in politics. I mean, that's gone. That's gone. And I think, and I'm sorry to say, there are many who surround him. They're living in a fool's paradise. And they are there pampering him and not, telling him that, look, open your eyes, smell the coffee. The situation is different, it's changed. The Kenyan that you had in mind in 2007 when you got with Ruto is not the same Kenya 20 years down the line. And therefore, you just need to step aside honorably and exit. Because in my humble view, it is going to be an ignominious exit. It's going to be embarrassing for him. If he decides to go on his own like that, and note, already the opposition, and they who are in opposition, Honorable Kalonzo, His Excellency Gachagua, and everybody else there, they have refused to work with the Kenya Kwanza because they see the atrocities and everything else. The host of those ills that they are telling the Kenyan people that, look, we want to go against this. And Raila seems to be supporting that. So he can't join them. They can't sing the same song with them. And then now, if he decides to stand now, he will not be supportive of Ruto.
He managed to do that with KANU. He joined with KANU, then came out and rejoined the opposition and pushed it with Kibaki Tosha, and it worked.
And the point is now, that's the past. That is the past. Look at Botswana. That was the same paradigm. That was the same thinking. Look at Malawi. That was the same thinking. Chakwera is in government. He's in control. But all that has shifted. Look at even Ibrahim Traore. I mean, the African Union thought that, we are going to pass a veto and, oppose that person. But the people want him because they saw France as having taken over their country. What do we see today? We see people buying flats and buying apartments in Dubai using our own money. We see a dysfunctional Nairobi City County. And what does the average person, the business person, see? That, look,
I don't care what is it. The quest for that change is so heavy. It is a momentum that is gaining, that momentum. And the domino effect is that all these political parties, all these politicians who are weighing in on their so-called past achievements, they will find themselves swept off. If there was any lesson with the Gen Z demonstration, it should be that the past is gone, and we have a new paradigm. And we need to rethink our future based on the needs of the present as projected into the future by we who are present and also the generation that has come up. It seems to me that Raila Odinga seems to have been, with tremendous respect to him, blinded by his position to the point that he no longer sees the reality on the ground, that there is a new entity on the block, the Gen Z. There is an entire generation capable of overturning the political pendulum, the political landscape, swinging the pendulum all the way around because they do not want to see that past entrenched.
Do you think the same is happening to the united opposition? There's a headline on the front page of the People Daily talking about the rifts between these leaders in electing or coming up with a flag bearer for 2027. Now, if you look at it from that prism of the Gen Z revolution, do you think that that grouping also suffers from this obsession with the past?
Yes, definitely. Mm-hmm. And this idea that they are the only ones. I think for those who read the Bible, they should go back and look at Gideon. Gideon came from nowhere. Gideon was given the go-ahead by God. It was divine appointment because of the same failings in society. And today, we have these people who say, oh, I come from government. This is what I'm bringing on the table. My experience is this much and that much. They should learn that the Gen Zs, and even from what happened in Nepal, for instance, it gets to a breaking point that you can no longer tolerate these. And when we see as the Kenyan people, okay, you want to sit there, have a united opposition, but you want to exclude we, the Kenyan people, and we're telling you that, place your differences aside. And your ego, political as it is, so bloated, cannot stand in the way for a new Kenya that we want, that we have the rule of law, we have honesty and integrity. And believe you me, there is a host of Kenyans out there, very honest, very hardworking, judges, politicians, and the whole spectrum. But we don't want to be sunk into this past, where all that they are saying is that I've been there, I'm a politician, and therefore I can do it. So too bad news for them that, look, united or not, the Kenya that we want is not this sort of. And they who are talking about a new term for Ruto, you have to ask yourself, do I want to have this continuation of the problems that we have for another 5-year period? Are you going to tolerate this shrinking economy where there's no money in circulation, and every single day that you see here, people are being auctioned because there is default and not of their own making? These are hardworking Kenyans. Right. So really, for these politicians, they need to wake up and see that the average person, the Kenyan person, doesn't want to be caught up in those shenanigans. As I close, let me say this. Has there been a convocation convened by these UDA and ODM gangsters, or political gangsters, I should call them, because they have come and then plunged the country into their own agenda? Has there been a convocation in Kasarani or anywhere else where they say, ye Kenyan people? The closest we came to that convocation is when Ruto went online to meet the Gen Zs, and they told him that, look, the sort of people that you have hired, we don't want them. The sort of people that you have surrounded yourself with, calling themselves advisors, we don't want them. What did he do? He got rid of, I've gotten rid of them. Mm-hmm. And then that was the voice of the people. There is no convocation even with these opposition people. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I wanted to raise, that it would appear that across board, politicians are more reliant on their own egos and self-entitlement. And this is across board, both the ones in the broad-based arrangement and the united opposition, that they think that only them can actually be the chosen ones. And I'm asking you this because you sit in a rather peculiar position as a first-time MP, and you interact with these people. Do you agree that the level of entitlement in our political class is a bit too much, that they're blind to even the realities of for example, the Gen Z revolution?
Sure, I think the assertion is good, and I actually agree with what Wakili is saying, on the basis that politicians in this country actually look unto themselves. It's actually about their ego, Fred. I think even when you say that there's what we call the united opposition, that should be a wrong assertion by now, because there is no united opposition. In any case, what the opposition is doing is that they're handing power to Ruto once again on a silver platter. Look, listen to all of them. None of them is willing, because of their ego, is willing to form a coalition for another person to become president. Rigiji says that he's the best person that he can become president, that he cannot be able to give it to somebody else because he was betrayed. He was betrayed by Ruto, so all these others can betray him. If you look at Matiang'i, he says, I'm the best because of my past records and that Uhuru is supporting me. If you look at Maraga, he says that I'm supporting the Gen Z, they even contributed to me. And so all of them are already in disarray, and the disarray is because of their ego. They're not thinking about Kenya, they're thinking about themselves. So even those that are trying to oppose Ruto, they're not opposing Ruto on principles. They're opposing Ruto, and especially the Rigiji is opposing Ruto on a personal difference. He does not have an agenda for this country. He has an agenda to ensure that Ruto is not. In fact, he said at one point, I don't care whether I become president or not. What I care is that Ruto should not be president. If you have a person with that kind of a mentality, those are purely personal ego. And so this country cannot move forward on leaders like that. And unfortunately, Wakili, all the politicians we're talking about are having all this. And so what are we talking about? We're talking about a country that is cooked. And the only thing we can do is to allow the government that is in to be able to manifest to be able to manifest what it wants to do, instead of bringing in other egos, because we cannot replace, if we're saying this government is bad, which I don't believe is bad, with now a worst one, because the ones out there are already starting to fight even before they come to the seat. What happens if they come into the seat? Right. They're going to destroy this country. And so they do not have a chance because already they are fighting. And I think it could be that God is already trying to tell them, you are not ripe enough to rule this country.
Bwana Gakuya, we raised issues about even the by-elections and the fact that for Malava, both DCP and DAP were fielding candidates. And that was clear enough that there was no alignment, that there were divisions there. Now the People Daily talks about a rift in coming up with a flag bearer for 2027. It's 23 months away. Isn't it too early for people to disagree on something that they don't even know if they'll be there come 2027?
Edimoli, what I would ask my good friend Lotte is that let him concentrate to build his house and make sure that in fact the mess inside is taken care of, because nobody could have making noise if the Kenya Kwanza government could be doing right to the people. It was given a chance by Kenyans to demonstrate its proposed agenda. And that's why he has alluded very well that issues to do with the manifesto is where we are getting it wrong, because you promised, and if you promised, you have not told Kenyans why you are not delivering. And if actually the services is delivered, nobody could be making noise. And it does not matter who is who. And let me tell you, Dimoli, me, I can elect anybody. I went to elect Ruto. Ruto is not a Kikuyu. I went to elect Sakaja. Sakaja is not a Kikuyu. Last time I elected Governor Sonko. He's not a Kikuyu. So let us not, at some point, creating images as if, or perception as if it is anybody fighting somebody for particular issue. In this case, we are saying if there is a team which is saying we are not going right, let us accept that in fact elections are choice of the people. Let's give Kenyans chance. Let them demonstrate. They are the one who has felt the pinch, because they are the wearers of the shoe. And if the government will have redeemed itself, it has a right to be given a chance. And I have no problem with that. Right. But let me tell you, my only problem is, let us not come here try to demonize anybody. I don't not want to hear anybody who's trying to say that actually the opposition is heading nowhere. Are heading nowhere how? Allow them to strategize themselves. And there's no way that they are not fools. They cannot put every card on the table. Yes. And therefore, don't judge them because you are judging with on their book cover. Leave them. And there's no single point that actually there is a smoke that these people are fighting because of they cannot agree.
The media is reading too much.
No, the media should allow that team to work as they do. And the media should not accept that, in fact, the cards will be put on the table so that they can be told it is Kamau, it is Joroge. It will remain secret until a particular time.
Right. And before I give you your 60 seconds for your final comments, I'm just reading some of the feedback here. Simon Mwangi Minor says Mzee is very confused. He's talking about Raila Odinga. Ben Kimathi says that candidate is Uliam, delay tactics. Mchuma Juani, we can now confirm that Sifuna Edwin is Raila and vice versa. Junet can take his anger elsewhere. Raila and ODM has lost popularity. This is Anthony Matayo. He goes on to say, so he is trying to win the people, but this time nobody is mad. He should support the government, Bwana. Akoth Masilin says his words are very familiar. Apareng Apax Elijah, that's why the check for Raila is being delayed. Kuna check mali. Hiyo ni wao message. Aha. Waiko Mark, I don't trust Raila at any cost. Jimmy Ndereva says Mzee amechanganyikiwa. Chimoto Magera, Raila is just playing high-end politics, one leg in, one leg out. He's been doing this from day one, but this time around, exiting government will not be without political cost to him. It will definitely break his political party because people are simply tired of his antics. And finally, Okanayo says, you media people read too much in this simple statement. Raila just wanted to give you fodder for gossip in the next 2 weeks. Oh, definitely he has. We cannot stop talking about him. Now you can do daily debate panels for the next 1 month, and we will definitely do it, discussing that statement by Raila. See how Raila is important even to your businesses. Thank you so much. Okanayo. All right, 60 seconds for your final comments. Let's start with you, Wakili.
Very unfortunate to hear that of ODM. And what I heard is that Honorable Junet was saying, well, if you want to ask about Raila's involvement with UDA, it's Raila, refer to Raila. I mean, you are telling people who ought to be rational, who ought to be objective, who ought to be learned, to suspend that objectivity, to suspend any notion of understanding. Even when they go and apply the law and want to interpret the law, what are you telling us? That ODM has been reduced to this group of, what do we call them? Zombies? Is it what they have become? That everything refer to Baba, if in doubt. I mean, that is what ODM is projecting, and I'm sorry. The Kenyan people have told you, stay with that. We can't afford it.
Thank you, Wakili. Bonalote.
Well, thank you. I think in all these debates, we're talking about political parties, and I'm afraid coming from a minority community, one of the small communities in this country, we seem not to be in any of the matrices. You see people discussing parties. I actually saw one person talking about the numbers that they've got, that if you do not have numbers, then you don't belong to Kenya. I think the political parties, the leaders of the political parties need to be considerate to every Kenyan, because we Kenyans, we pay taxes, so we're supposed to enjoy every benefits, including appointments. Where I come from, we don't see any state appointments. We don't regret, but we actually think we've been denied of our rights as Kenyans to be able to run these institutions of government. So it will be important that the small parties, the small communities also think about themselves, because it seems like every big party, every big boy in this country is thinking about themselves.
Okay. Thank you, Bonalote. Finally, Bonagakuya.
I would just to add a small comment on Lote's statement. And I want to allude that, in fact, every single community in this country are well taken care of our constitution. Go to Article 58, it takes care of marginalized and even those small communities. So nobody should come to say that they are not taken care of. The constitution has also taken also another stake that they have a fund, which is known as, there's a fund which is TOPS, which actually meant to top up those marginalized
equalization.
Areas. Equalization. So in that particular case, I think the Constitution has addressed those areas. And there is a bill coming up, and it addresses about those issues to do with the marginalized and those communities, those small communities. I think if there is anything that the Constitution has not envisaged, I think it is high time they can address that. But we should not be saying that any community in this country is being sidelined, because the Constitution has taken care of everybody. And finally, allow me to talk about the statement made by CS Murkomen. Matters to tell Kenyans that they should be contributing to what we call police vehicles fuel. They should know that actually Kenyans are taxpayers and they pay tax. Those taxes should be prudently used to buy the police cars fuel. And therefore, he is totally wrong and out of order to ask Kenyans to contribute to Kenya police cars. That's not possible, and we cannot buy that particular trade.
Thank you for that, Bwana Gakuya. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, Titus Lote, MP Kacheliba, and Harrison Kinyanjui, Advocate of the High Court. Thank you so much for your time at TV47 as we took a look at big headlines. Teachers, police face SHA medical crisis. That's a big one on the front page of the Daily Nation. But this one down here, Raila says, no deal on Ruto re-election. Similar headline on the front page of the Star, is Raila planning to run against Ruto? That's the Star, which is free today. The Standard steers clear of politics today, talking about Martha's murder and the British soldier whose extradition from the United Kingdom has been ordered by Kenya's High Court, revealed his image finally on the front pages today. Ladies and gentlemen, these are the headlines today. My name is Fred Ndimuli. Good morning.